Hi everyone, good evening. So today we are going to talk about VNet, which is called as a virtual networking or virtual net. So yesterday we discussed about the basic networking components like what is IP address, difference between 32-bit and 128-bit, what is subnets, and how we can do the subnetting with the existing network. All these things we discussed, and we also discussed different classes, class A, class B, and class C, and how many IPs will be there in each class, and what is subnet mask. All these things we discussed. Now, with the help of that, we are going to talk about VNet. So, so what Azure document is saying about this VNet? If you go through this, generally, if you just type Azure VNet, you can able to get this Microsoft page. Azure Virtual Network is the fundamental building block for your private network in Azure. So VNet enables many types of Azure resources such as VMs to securely communicate with each other and also to the internet or on-premises networks. So VNet is similar to a traditional network that you'd operate in your own data center, but brings it with additional benefits. So which means, so in traditional data center, whenever you want to start your own data center, then by default, the first thing you need to start with the design part of your networking. So once the network is designed, then only on top of that, you can start creating your own virtual machines or physical machines or maybe storage boxes, everything. So first you need to decide with the network concepts. So switches, routers, the physical cabling, the network team, the network CCIE team is going to configure everything. And then on top of that will be switches will be there, multiple switches, and these switches will connect to these routers. On top of that, the servers will be placed. So once this design is completed, then only we can create these machines. And as I mentioned, this will be under the racks, right? So these racks will be connected with these switches, and the cables will be back and connected to the each servers. So this way, the networking is going to be established. So in traditional data center, previously there will be separate network team used to be there, and they used to maintain this network concepts, everything, the routing, switches, all these concepts. So the same way now we can able to get in the cloud also. So all this networking is by default it's available. Only thing is logically we are creating it. So here also by default networking concepts will be available, and whenever for the first time the customer is going to the cloud or from on premises to cloud, if they are migrating, first thing they need to design the network. Once the network is designed, then on top of that you can create your virtual machines or any other resources. Then only you can establish communication. But the good thing with this um, cloud is it's a scalable means whatever the network you want, how many networks you want, immediately you can create. But in the traditional data center, again the same thing, whenever you want to scale, then you need to contact the respective vendor and they need to order it and they need to deliver. Someone should go to the data center, configure everything, plug in the cables, all these things will happen. But here in the cloud, you don't need to do anything, everything is ready, and you just with the multiple clicks you can able to create your own network. So immediately it will be scalable. And availability and isolation. So availability means like you have multiple availability zones, so high availability will be there for your network. And isolation, so you can like restrict only this particular of network you want to access, and another network is for another environment. This way you can able to isolate also. So why use an VNet? Virtual network enables Azure resources to securely communicate with each other. First of all, why we need this network concepts? So can't we run our applications on these servers without this network? Obviously no. Why? Because generally in real time, whatever the servers we are creating, mostly it will be like, for example, if you take three-tier architecture, and this is like application server, this is a middleware, and this is a database server. This is generally called three-tier architecture. So front end web server will be running, and here web server is running, and here it's a middleware is running for your run application, and here database. So to run any simple application, you need this at least this minimum three-tier application. So web server will give you the front end web pages, and middleware will give more options to your web application, and then backend all the data of your website will be available in the database. So data will be available in the database, and front end, as I mentioned in the previous session, if you access flipkart.com and if you are searching any item like HP laptop, you are searching this data, this web server is going to fetch from the database. So to connect to this database, it is going to communicate with the IP address only. So to communicate, then they should be in the same network. Without that, communication is going to not happen between two machines or two devices. So that's the reason we should have a network compulsory. So without network, we cannot able to communicate these machines. Even though if you assign IP address, it is not going to communicate until unless it is in some network. So that's the reason network is mandatory. And communicate with the internet means with this VNet, your machines can go and access the internet also. In further classes, we'll see how to block the internet and how to give the access to the internet. Like this machine can, once we create a VNet and we launch virtual machines into that VNet, they can go and communicate to the external world also. So to access the internet, or else it can be uh, go and connect to your on-premises data center. Like you have few services running here and few services are running in cloud, then there should be access between these two. Let's say, for example, database is running is on your on-premises data center, and application and middleware is running in cloud. So there should be communication between these two. So through the VNet only, everything will go and talk to this specific servers on your on-premises. So VNet will allow, like in further classes, we'll see how we can establish that communication, all these things. But that is a purpose of this VNet. With the help of this networking only, these machines can go outside to the external world to access, or maybe to your on-premises data center. So now we'll go and create this VNet through the console, and I will show you both ways how to create this VNet through the console, and how to create this VNet and subnets and virtual machine through the command line also. Okay, so first let's go and create the VNet inside the through the console. So now I will just log in portal.azure.com. Shiva Pasham and Azhar, you can contact the admin team. I will just post the message here. Okay, so you can just go and contact the admin team, Azhar and Shiva Pasham. Okay, so now I connected to the portal. Go to the home, and here you can see virtual networks, or else in the search bar also you can search with the virtual networks. So I can go to these virtual networks. As of now, I don't see any virtual networks here. Create virtual network, and I'm using the free trial subscription. And resource group, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new resource group, Galaxy VNet underscore hyphen RG. So this is the name I'm providing, the RG, create it. And what is the VNet name? So I am just giving Galaxy VNet 101. So this is a VNet name, the virtual network name. This is a resource group name. And under which region I'm creating? This is the region East US I'm selecting. Now next IP address. So here address space. So by default it is asking me to use this series 10 series. Understood? So if you remember yesterday, the private IP range is 10 series from the class A, and class B is 172.16 and class C is 192.168. But if you observe, this is taking 10.0.0.0/16, but class A subnet mask is what? 8. Let me open that. So if you see here 10.0.0.0 subnet mask is 255.255.0.0.0. So which means you can assign subnet mask in this way also. 10.0.0.0 subnet mask is 255.0.0.0. So as I mentioned, these are like 4 octets. So each octet is 8 bits. This is 8 bit, this is 8 bit, and this is 8. That's what we called as a 32-bit IP. So now, if you observe, just 255 is only one time is there, right? So you can assign in this way also, 10.0.0.0/8. For class B, 170.16.0.0, then 255.255.0.0. So if you how you are going to give 170.16.0.0/16. So /16 means by default subnet mask of the class B range, and 192.168.0 some 1 dot or maybe 0.0. This is like 255.255.255.0. And how we can assign this? 192.168.0.0/24. 3 times 8 plus 8 plus 8/24. This way you need to identify. 24 means it's a class C subnet. 16 means class B subnet. This is the default subnets. Yesterday when we discussed, when you do subnetting, means again you are logically dividing subnet calculator. Logically, when you are dividing a huge network, then the subnet will change, subnet mask will change. So if I select class A range now, if you see mask bits 8, that is what we are talking. By default, mask bit is 8. Why? Because it's a 255.0.0.0. If you are dividing this, then this value will change and this value will also change. So it means class A is divided, like done with the subnetting. For example, if it is a divided into two networks, one big network into 2 networks. Now you see 9. So then you need to change it as a 9. So now why we are explaining this? Because here, then by default subnet mask is 8 for class A. Then why they mentioned as a 16 here? Why don't they mention /8? Why? Because if you use directly this complete series for a single VNet, then for next VNet, what kind of series you are going to use? Again, you should use 172 series. So instead of that, what they have done, so here, if you do subnetting, for example, if here I mention, I'll change it as 16, which means easily I understood, right? They divided this network into 8 subnets. Understood? So now here multiple subnets they divided. So 10 dot, which one it is showing? 0.0.0/16 and 10 dot something like 1.0.0/16. This way they are going to create multiple subnets. and this range they are asking us to use for the VNet. So once you create VNet with this one, then again in the VNet you can create multiple subnets. Understood? So with this range 10.0.0.0/16. So now I can create multiple subnets from this one, and I can launch VMs inside those subnets. So if I am creating second VNet, I can choose this range. If I am creating third VNet, I can choose another range. So that's why they did not provided this complete range for a single VNet. So they are suggesting go and use this one, this or this any range. By default, they are giving this range. In multiple VNets, you can use whatever the range you want. Understood? So what we are going to do, so we can use the same IP range, or else you can use whatever the IP range if you want. I will just delete this, and I'll go with 10.1.0.0/16. Okay, so this way I'm using whatever he providing. I've deleted it because anyhow I'm not using this, I'm using this one. Now add IP version 6 address space. No, IP version 6 is not required. And subnets. So here VNet is one network, one address space we are giving 10.1.0.0/16. And this is a big network. And inside this, we are going to create a subnets now. Different networks means again we will logically divide this network into multiple networks, and then we will launch VMs inside this subnets. Why we need to create multiple subnets? Why not only we create one subnet and put all the machines inside that? You can do that, that is also possible, but in real time you will have multiple subnets. Why? Because this is for the web servers and this is for the database servers. You want to segregate different servers, and this is for maybe middleware servers, and another subnet is for some active directory servers, and one more subnet is for some proxy servers. That way in real world you will have different subnets, and this is a big network. From that you are dividing multiple subnets and you are placing your servers in each different subnet. So that's why we also do the same thing. Now we are creating VNet with this range, and again from here we are creating multiple subnets. Understood? It's like the example which we took yesterday, right? One big area is there, and inside that we created multiple like function halls, but these are like 4 subnets. Now from this subnet, again what we are doing, we are dividing it again. Inside this we are doing multiple subnets. So sub in for a subnet, again we are doing multiple subnet this way. Understood? So now the scenario will be like you need to understand the hierarchy also. So tenant, and inside this tenant subscription, and then RG resource group, and inside this RG we are creating VNet, and under this VNet we are creating, this is a subnets, and under the subnets we will launch the VMs. So this is already by default the email ID what we are providing, that is already available, and subscription also we are using free trial subscription. Just now we created RG, and inside this RG now we are going to create this VNet with this IP range. Understood? So now it is asking to create the subnets now. Now add subnets. Now again it's up to you how you want to divide this 10.1.0.0, how many IPs you want in each subnet. Based on that you want to divide that. So for me, I want each subnet should be like 254 IPs. In each subnet, I want 254 IPs. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose 10 dot uh, 1.1.0/24. The name must, oh, sorry, this is a subnet name. Um, Galaxy subnet 1. So this is the name I am providing, and 10.1.1.0/24 I am providing. This is one of the subnet, and by default, few IPs will be reserved, so we don't get complete 254. So 251 IPs will get in this subnet. I know I'm very good at IP addressing and subnetting. That's why directly I gave here. If you want, you can use the subnet calculator, and here. So now if you, for example, if I take now, I want to divide this. So now I provided 24 mask bits. So now if you see, these many networks are getting, and per host 254 I am going to get. So as my requirement, in each subnet I want 254. So based upon your requirement, you can just do the calculation and you can create it. So this is a subnet I'm doing, and later on we'll discuss about this NAT gateway, all these things. Add, and I'm going to create one more subnet. Add subnet, Galaxy subnet underscore -2 and 10.1.2.0/24. Same, 4 IPs are reserved, remaining 251 IPs are available. Add it. So 2 subnets are enough as of now. You can create multiple subnets from this IP range. Now next, before that, for a clear picture, VNet range, the main network VNet range is 10.1.0.0/16. This is a big network. From this big network, I divided, as of now, as per the calculation, I only created 2 subnets. But for subnets, whatever the 2 subnets I created, 10.1.1.0/24, and here 10.1.2.0/24, which is, if you see here, this is network portion, this is network portion, this is network portion, and this is host portion. Same way here, network, 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 and host. So which means this is acting like a class C only, because /24 means 255.255.255.0. So this is a big network. From that, I'm dividing in this way. So like this, you can create how many networks you can get, multiple networks you can create. But I don't want those many subnets now. For my purpose, only 2 subnets are enough. And this is acting like a class B, because this is network portion and this is network portion. If you divide /16 means remaining 2 are host portions. So from that, we are dividing in this way. And now 2 subnets are enough. Next, as of now, ignore this. In later sessions, we have a separate session on this one. And tags, you can provide tags. Already we discussed about tags for filtering purpose, uh, for billing purpose also. In the billing section also, you can check the billing for each individual tag also. That way is also it is possible. So you can provide tags if you want. Review and create. So it will be created now. So once it is created, then we need to create a VMs. So inside that, now I have a question. Now what I am doing, created this VNet, created these 2 subnets, and now next step will be I'm going to launch 2 VMs One is in this subnet, one is in this subnet. Now, do you think that these two VMs will be communicated? These two VMs will communicate? No, no. Manikanta said yes. Anil said yes. No, 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 no. Most of the people said no, only few people said. Like whoever said yes, how you think they both will communicate? Uday Kumar, Sarvana Babu said yes. Anil B, as under same network. But yesterday we discussed, right? When there are two different subnets, they will not communicate. That is what we discussed yesterday. What is the purpose of subnet? Subnet is mean like it's a different network. So if it's a different network, then it should not communicate. Both are in different network. If both are in same way, they can communicate. Or in VNet allow it. Yeah, Samvora said the correct answer. Different network can't communicate. VM means this virtual network will allow to communicate. Generally, two subnets should not communicate. So here need to add route. Yeah, Praveen, you are also correct. Need to add route, but by default, what happens whenever you create a VNet, automatically it will create a route also by default. Because of that route, it will add the route table of these two subnets. That's the reason what happens by default, these two subnet VMs also can communicate. In general, two different subnets should not communicate, but here they will communicate. If you don't want to communicate, then you should remove that route inside that route table, then it will not communicate. Understood? So let's go and see whether this is got created. Yeah, VNet is created. And if you see here, GalaxyNet is created. And now this is address space. Let's go and create virtual machines inside this one. Virtual machines, create. Instead of creating virtual machines or any resource through this console, if it is a command line, then quickly we can do it. But today onwards, I will show you through the command line also. Then remaining resources, most of the resources will practice with the command line only. I will provide those command line and resource group, Galaxy VNet RG and virtual machine name Linux VM1 and East US same. Remaining all this, I'm going to select Ubuntu image and then size basic is enough. Password. So I provided the password, and in the next tab, I don't want a premium SSD. I just go with a standard SSD, and remaining stuff as it is. Next thing is a networking tab. So previously, when we were creating virtual machine at that time, it was giving us an option to create automatically VNet. But now we need to select our own VNet, and this is a VNet name. Galaxy VNet -01 is a VNet name. So you can select this, and we have two subnets. Two subnets you have. So in which subnet you want? So this is a subnet I want to select. In the next VM, I'll go with the 10.1.2.0. And do we want public IP? No, because I don't want to connect to this machine. Just to show you how to create this VMs uh, inside a VNets. That's it. So in the further session, we'll talk about this MSGs and inbound through the SSH we will connect. Yes, delete. And remaining thing, regular stuff, I'll just go and create it. Only thing is in the networking tab, we need to select the VNet which we created, and under that, in under which subnet you want to create the VM. So now create it. before it gets created, again we can go back and start creating another machine. So now again I'll go and create one more machine. Resource group, this one, and Linux VM2, yeah, Ubuntu 18 version, 1 GB and password. Provide the password. Disks. Why I'm changing here? Because in case if I forget to delete also on time this virtual machines, the charge will be very less compared to premium disk. So that's why better to go with the standard SSD only. So that's the reason I'm changing the disk. And moreover, why I'm selecting Linux, because see right now we don't want to test and we don't want any the exact like Windows machine. So we want to just launch a machine in the subnets. So it's using 30 GB only. If you launch Windows machine, it will choose 127 GB SSD drive. If you delay in deleting this VM's resources, then they will charge more. Maybe if you are using free trial also, we should make habituate in this way, so that in future, if you are using pay as you go, so we can choose the resources which are going to charge very less. So that's why I'm selecting Linux image over there and standard SSD over here, and delete the VM option, this one, and next networking, same VNet, but this time I'm going to select this one, and I don't want any public IP, and review and create. Create. So I'll go to the home page. Let's see whether machine one is created or not. This machine is created, and here, okay, virtual machines. Here, suppose you have multiple VNets, and again inside that VNet you have multiple subnets also. How you are going to identify, or maybe we can go inside this and we can see in which VNet is available. In the networking tab we can go under which VNet it is created. Everything we can see here, but see here under this subnet, and this is a VNet, we can see. But from here also we can able to see that information when all the VMs are created. Well, let's see, resource group. Okay, so here if you want to see, you can only see how many disks are there, public IPs, what is the size of this VM, and what operating system. This information it is showing whether its state is running or not, in which region it is created. But nowhere it is mentioned the VNet name or subnet name. So if you want to get that information, you can use this manage view option here. Click on here, edit columns, and go down here, select add column. And in the new column, you can select maybe you want subnet or virtual network. If you select virtual network, it will show under which virtual network it is created. Or else if you want to see the subnet, like many options you have, all the options are not here by default. They mention few options. Whichever option you are interested, then you can come here, manage view, edit columns, and that information if you want to see, you can able to see it here. So now I want to see subnet, under which subnet they are created. So select subnet, and this information I want to see beside the type. After type I want it, then you can just select it subnet, and move up, just move to the top. After type it is available. Now save. See, now subnet is available here. So this way you can see these VMs are created under which subnet. So this way we need to create a VMs inside the virtual networks. As an Azure admin, as depend upon your experience, you may not get chance to create these VNets. Most of the projects there will be separate pure like networking, even though they are in the cloud, but they came from very networking background, like whoever like completed CCNA, CCNP, CCIE, very good in the strong networking background. And if they jump into the cloud, mostly they will create this networking topology for any customers or for their own environment. Or else as an Azure administrator, Azure architect, you should have very good knowledge about the networking. Then only you will get opportunity to create the networking, and then remaining stuff you maintain this Azure resources. Why? Because if I go to the VNet virtual networks here, okay, why very much important to create this VNet? Because whatever the address space which you are creating here, address space means the main VNet range which we took, right? This address space or how many subnets you calculation, everything, once this is created, and then on top of this, if the VMs everything is gets created and load balancers get created, service endpoints get created, then if later on you came to know that there is some mistake in this network configuration, then you cannot roll back. You cannot just delete and create it immediately. For example, you created a VM, you created with a wrong configuration, like a client or application team provided you with some information that they are expecting 4 CPUs and 16 GB RAM, or maybe some specifications, but you did not create it with that specification. Then there is a no problem. Again, you can delete it, you can create a new one, and you can run your application or database, whatever you want. But network is a core, like very important component. If you do something mistake here, on top of it, lot of things will be there. It's very simple. Like if you're constructing a house, the basement, before constructing house, first of all in the plain land they will create a basement. Under that basement, then they will have the pillars. On top of that, they will going to give a slab, and then you will start constructing the remaining things, painting walls, and flooring, everything. If individual thing is having problem, if painting is having problem, then again you can repaint it. But if the basement itself is a problem, you again you need to demolish complete your house and again reconstruct, means it's a very painful procedure. So that's why don't play with the networking in your organization, because it will impact a lot of production servers or lot of areas. And so this way we create virtual networks, and multiple subnets. Inside that we'll create virtual machines, and we'll just have a go through about the components of this VNet. What are the like components will be available? Mainly like IP addressing, like IP addresses are the one of the components, and the subnets are the component of this VNets, and network interfaces. Network interfaces means whenever the IP is assigned to virtual machines, network interface. So this IP is bonding or binding to a network interface of a virtual machine. And NSGs, network security group. In AWS, we call it as just a security group, and here we call it as a security group, network security group. So security group is to allow or outgoing or incoming traffic for your virtual machines, specifically to your virtual machines, whether your machine want to go and access the external world or to the separate network, or incoming traffic. If I want to connect to the virtual machine, all these allow and incoming rules will be configured under this NSGs. So very soon we are going to talk about it. And routing tables. So in the routing tables, you will decide the routing name itself. It will easily can indicate, like for example, while we are driving on the road, if there is some construction, they will put a board like take U-turn or take left to take different route. Means whatever they are telling, we are going in that route. So the same way, what are the traffic, network traffic is coming, how you want to route the traffic will be decided with these routing tables. So as I mentioned just now, basically two subnets should not communicate. but VNet is creating by default one root, and inside the root, by default, the subnets names will be defined automatically. So that's the reason machine from here and machine from here will able to communicate. So that is also very important. How you want to route the traffic of incoming or outgoing will be decided with this routing tables. And VNet gateway, VNet gateway. Gate means itself is telling like for your house, there will be a gate. Whoever want to come from outside person to your house, or your house person want to go outside, you need to par that gate. Same way for your VNet, what are the machines you are creating? Everything, if it want to go and access the external world, then you should have a VNet gateway from external world. So that's why we can configure VNet gateways also. And apart from this, what else is like firewall. If you want to block to access something to complete your network, then you can create a firewall, because if everyone is coming from the outside opening your gate and coming inside means there is no security. So you want to block it so that your servers will be safe from the attackers or hackers. So you can enable firewalls. So like this, many components are there. We call it as a service endpoints also there, and a VPN is there. These are all like components of the Azure VNet. Understood? So now what I will do, I will just show you the same way how to create through the command line interface. The same thing, whatever I created, VNet and two subnets and two VMs will create it. Same way. I'll choose different series now. This time I'll choose different VNet IP range, different subnet range from the VNet which I create, and two VMs will create. Okay. So for that, I have a GitHub URL. Network interface, Raja. Network interface, your LAN card. Like for example, your laptop is having LAN card, Ethernet card, right? Here also, what are the virtual machines we create? We by default it will get one network interface. That network interface only is going to have the IP address. Same like in your laptop, you have right now wireless card, right? For that only Wi-Fi is getting connected. Then Wi-Fi is assigning the IP address to your laptop. Same way, virtual machines will have network interface card virtually. So it is going to have the IP address. If possible, show us once how to write a route to the communication between different. Yeah, in further classes we have those sessions. Don't worry about that. Till now we are like basic started like VNet creation, inside that VMs creation. Then slowly we'll see how to create firewall, how to block, and how to create gateway. All these things we'll have. Then we'll discuss about that. And yeah, I was supposed to show you about GitHub. So in this, I have the documentation for each and every, like for all these services. I'm going to show you through command line only because it will be very quick. In the console, provide each and every details, all these things. Instead of that, we'll use this one. So now this is VNet, and here this VNet, what I'm going to do, first I'm going to create an Azure RG, different RG I'm going to choose, and this RG I'm going to use for all the resources should be created under the same RG. And this command is to create a VNet and to create a subnet also, means at least one subnet. AZ is the Azure command line, and network. What is the resource you are trying to create under the network? We are creating VNet resource, and this is a create option. So whichever resource you are trying to create, that resource you are going to define here. And for example, if you see here, VM, AZ VM create option. Understood? Same way, here network, under the network, we are creating VNet. So if you see this command under network, I am creating NSG. So that way we use command. Slowly you'll understand. And so this is to create a VNet. And -G is the option to give the resource group name, under which resource group you want to create the VNet, and -n is the name of your resource, means whatever you are trying to create, what is the name of that resource. So here I am creating Azure RG hyphen VNet 1. So this is the VNet which I am going to create, and hyphen address hyphen prefix. What is the range of your VNet? And this is the range. If you see here, uh, this is the range. If you see 10.1. Previously I created, now I'm using 10.2.0.0, and this is the VNet range. And hyphen subnet name. Under this VNet, simultaneously create one subnet, and that name is subnet name is this is the name, and hyphen subnet prefix is 10.2.1.0. So same, if you see, this is a subnet range. If you see here, from this 10.2.1.0, same way I'm choosing. If you want multiple, you can choose multiple. So hyphen L, in which region you want to create, provide that region name. So this is hyphen L, means location, West US. Once this is created, the next command is create subnets, means more subnets inside this VG. So now what we are doing, AZ network under the VNet, create subnet. So subnet create hyphen G, and this is a RG name, and under which VNet you want to create, hyphen VNet name, and this is a VNet name which we already created, and then hyphen name of your resource which you are creating. So this is a subnet name which I am providing. This is a name I want to create. And what is the address prefix? 10.2.2.0. Same here. So third subnet if you create 10.2.3.0. Fourth if you create 10.2.4.0. That way, so we don't want to create multiple subnets. Two subnets is enough. Same way, we want to create two VMs, same like previous how we created through the console. So now this we can execute till here, and then we ignore this part. When we talk about NSG, at that time I will explain about this one. VM creation. Now AZ, what is the resource name you want to create? VM, and create under which resource group name? The same resource group name where we created a VNet and subnet, and hyphen name. What is the name you want to provide? To see, hyphen n also you can give, hyphen name also you can give. So hyphen n web server, just I'm giving some name to the VM. Which image you want to use? Hyphen image. This is the image name I want to use. And under which VNet you want to create? This is a VNet Azure RGA underscore VNet 1. This is the one which we created. And under which subnet you want to create? In the first subnet which got created, this is a subnet we want to create. And what are the credentials? Hyphen admin username, cloud freak, and this is a password I'm providing. And what is the size? Like you want B1 or B4, which one you want? So whenever you are creating a VM through console, it will ask many options. All those options will be available, but we don't want all those options as of now. If you don't select, by default options will be opted. Like when you create a VM, it is asking disk, monitoring, boot diagnostic system, many things it was asking. We don't want all those stuff. Whatever we want, we will provide. So depend upon your requirement, you can add those features also. How you know that? You can just type azvm create --help. Then it will give you all the options to create a VM. What are the options? It will be there. Everything will be displayed. I will show you in the command line. Okay, so that you can add. Apart from this, if you want add one more option over here, you can add. But as of now, for us, this is enough. Now, where I'm going to execute these commands? In the Cloud Shell. If I go here, Mm, yeah, thanks Pawan for sharing this. I thought to share this GitHub URL. So thanks for sharing. Please, you guys use that URL and you can use the same commands. And I'm going to use this Cloud Shell. So why? Because I can use my local also from my laptop also. I will show you that option also in further session. How to connect from our local laptop to execute the commands. But first we'll see the Cloud Shell. So in the Cloud Shell by default, AZ command is available. That is one advantage. Second thing is it is in already the cloud. This is also one of the service in the cloud. So from that one service it can go and connect easily to your region quickly from my laptop. If I right now I'm in Europe, so from here if I execute a command and you selected East US, from here the command should go and connect to the data center and it should give me the prompt. It will take bit time. So instead of that I prefer execute commands from the cloud shell itself. Maybe in further sessions I will show you, but from my laptop if I want to execute commands, how it will know that it should go and connect to this tenant and subscription and these resources. So first of all, we need to log in. We need to provide the credentials, and then you can able to execute the commands, and it will go to this tenant subscription and that specific resources. So now I'll move little bit high. This one. Oh, is it coming only till here? Okay. Now I'm going to execute this command. First, I'm going to create the resource group. So resource group, it is going to be created. So this is a resource group got created. The name is Azure RG. And then we are going to create VNet. So now, yeah, correct. I can use that. Sometimes in my laptop it is not opening, so that's why I was not preferring to open it in the another shell. So this is a VNet and subnet. Both are getting created. If it is not working, the command is wrong, then it will throw an error. Then you need to find out, read the error, what mistake you have done, what it is expecting. Then you need to fix it. So this way, creating resources are very, very easy instead of going to each and every tab. Now VNet got created because I did not get any error. If you see here, I executed and then I'm creating only one subnet, means already one got created here. So second subnet I'm creating here. So let's go here, clear the screen and execute second subnet to create. See, quickly it got created. And now let's create a VMs inside that one. So here, don't use this one. This by mistakenly I added this slash. So use up to this standard B1S. If it is a continuation, we use this backslash. For ending, it's not required. So for VM creation, it is just kind of a warnings. It is showing Ignite November 2023. We will deploy Gentoo launch. It is giving some information from 2023 November. It is going to change whenever you create a VM. It will deploy Gentoo trusted launch VM by default. It seems whenever we create a VM, it was showing option, right? Confidential or trusted launch VM you want to create, but we are selecting standard VM. But November 23 onwards, they are not going to use standard. By default, they will create as a Gentoo trusted launch VM by default. It seems, and it is recommended to use parameter -n public IP. And for VM creation will be changed from basic to standard in the future. Consider using the Ubuntu alias on April 33. The image deployed by the Ubuntu alias reaches its end of life. will be removed with the breaking change release of fall 23. Okay, so what are the options? Because we did not provide all the options which will ask in the console, right? So that's why it is showing like something will be changed in future. So VM also got created. See here, forward state VM is running, and the private IP range 2.10.1.4 IP address. So here, if you see, one of the machine VM got this IP address, means 2.10.2. This series out of 251 IPs, this machine got one IP now. So this way you can able to create quickly, and you can go and see Linux VMs, virtual machines, see web server 01, under which subnet Azure RG1 hyphen subnet 1 it got created under the Azure RG1 resource group West US, and this is also up and running. And I did not mention in the command line that I don't want public IP. That's why automatically it assigned the public IP. This is how we'll create through the command line. Okay. So in coming sessions also mostly we will use this command line only. We don't use now all the networking concepts mostly. For some concepts we need to use console only. For most of the concept use this command line options. So now the final few things I want to discuss about this virtual networks. So I'll take any of the virtual networks. Now this is the one of the virtual network, and left side if you see these are the options, and under which resource group it's created. DNS servers. In coming sessions you'll understand about DNS, and basic information easily you can understand under which subscription it got created. So left side if you see, these are the four options by default. For every resource you see these four options, whether it's a VNet, whether it's a storage account, or virtual machine. These four options you'll see by default. If you see the active log, the first one, this will show you the activity of all your resources. For single subscription, what are the subscription right now we are using? For one subscription, there will be one active log only, activity logs. What is activity? What is happening? You restarted a VM, you deleted a VM, you created a VM, or you created subnets, you created VNets, all these activities. But what they are doing, good thing is, for each and every resource, they are doing filter here. If you see, I did not selected this filter, but for each and every resource, if you see resource Azure RG means this will show only specifically to this VNet. So, but basically this contains all the resource activities. But for every resource, you see this activity log option here. If you click it, it is having by default filter so that it will show only this VNet related only. If you delete this filter about this VNet, then it will provide more. See, create deployment means this is related to the VM and updated a resource group 7 minutes ago. And if you see time spent last 6 hours, if I see last 24 hours, apply. More information it will show. If you see more information, it is showing whatever I was doing. So this many information means complete information it is showing, and that too specific to this RG only. If I mention, if I delete this RG also, it will show all the RGs, all the resources now, only based upon timestamp. Okay, and subscription. So now these many options are here. But good thing is for every resource, whenever you go and check the activity log, by default again automatically it is showing that filter. So it means VNet related stuff in this activity log you can see here. VM side, you go to a VM and you check the activity log, it will show that specific. If I go here and virtual machines and web server 01 activity log, filtered resources VM1, automatically it got filtered and it will show only about this VM. If I delete that one, and if you see here, virtual network information also it is showing from last 6 hours. So this is the important, like you should understand, for single subscription, one activity log which contains everything, but for each resource it is uh, filtered. And virtual networks, any of the virtual networks I go, and already we discussed access control. If you want to give access, like as I mentioned, this is a very critical networking concept, so juniors should not have access to it, or freshers should not have access to it. For them, through the active directory, we can restrict them to access this only read only access. This way we can provide a access, or some people we should completely block the access. That way we can do with this IM. When we talk about active directory, at that time you'll understand. Tags, already I told you, multiple reasons we can use. One is for billing also, you can filter only specifically whatever the tags you have. You can check billing for that specific tag also. And also to sort out, you want to do some activity on some specific environment or some specific kind of servers, then you can easily filter or sort out with the help of these tags. And diagnose and solve problems, same like VM. Azure is having lot of database, like lot of information from the different customers, because they are into this business from last 10 to 20 years. So they collect a lot of information, what kind of issues regularly customers will face. So based how they provide solution, based on that they provide some self diagnostic system with this diagnose and solve problem. So here, creating and troubleshooting network security groups, issue configure Azure virtual network. Maximum issues we can resolve with the help of this diagnose and solve problems. Okay. And coming to the this four are like common for every resource, and these settings are specifically to that particular resource which we created, means specifically to the VNet. Always these setting resources are for the resource, and these are common in the sense, for every resource you can see these four options, and these are like you, it will change based upon the resource. And connected devices, so in this VNet, how many devices are connected? Basically in this VNet, these many IPs are there. From this we created subnets. So from these subnets, how many devices are connected? Here devices means not only a VM. A service endpoint can also be a device. It can also contain one IP. Load balancer is also contain one IP. So who are using these IPs? All those information will be available here. If you want to know in your subnets, you created this. If you see here subnets, two subnets, 250 machines are 250 IPs are available. Basically 251 IPs should be available. So where is that one IP? That one IP from each subnet is using by this specific. So type is network interface, means that particular VM network interface is using this IP address. So this way you can see how many network interfaces, which means virtual machines or maybe service endpoints is connected or using your IPs, that will be defined here, so that easily you can sort it out. Like for example, you got one IP is down, then you want to see which host is using that particular IP, then you can search that IP here, then it easily it will show you the VM name, and you can go and check that particular VM, okay, who is using and what is that VM, who owns it, everything. And from this VNet, how many subnets you created, that will be visible here, and how many IPs are left also will be visible here. Bastion server is like a gem server. In later sessions we'll talk about this one. All these sessions, DNS servers, tomorrow we'll talk about peerings, VNet peering. Like now we discuss these two things, right? Here, uh, from this VM, from this VM to this VM, you cannot able to communicate, because this is different VNet, this is different VNet. So tomorrow we'll discuss With the help of peering, how we can enable communication between these two VMs, we'll talk about it. Okay. So these are like then we'll understand like one by one peering these endpoints, firewall. In the firewall class, you will understand firewall. All these options we are going to understand. And remain these are the common means same for each and every service. Monitoring, how to monitor, what kind of metrics you are monitoring, everything you can configure it. We'll discuss this in the monitoring class. Main the setting options will be specifically to that service. So this is about the VNet and creation of subnets and the creation of virtual machines in the subnets. If you have any questions, you can ask. If interviewer asks what is VNet, VNet is a virtual network to communicate virtual machines. We need to have a VNet, and inside that VNet we will create subnets so that you can launch the VMs inside the subnets. Can I connect VNet which is different regions? Yeah, that is what which we are going to discuss tomorrow. Whether it can be in a same region or a different region. See, this is what see, this is the one. This both can be in the same region, East US, or maybe this both can be in a different region. You can enable VNet peering, and with the help of that, you can able to communicate. See, that is what I mentioned. Whatever the leftover settings options are there, whenever that specific class comes, I will explain on that time. Managed identity, all these things. Can I connect VNet? This is done. Can we move a VM or other resources from one VNet, another VNet, and from one subnet to the another subnet? See, move means nothing like you will create a VM over there, and whatever the disk you were using, that disk you can take a snapshot and you can attach to the that another VM, and there you can start it. The same thing will be available. That way it is possible. And you will stop the machine here and you will start the machine wherever you created another subnet or another region, wherever you want. To create a Shakib, can you show once again how Ton create magazine by command? I don't understand. Ton create magazine means what? How much bandwidth of the switch routers are shared? So whenever the VM which you created, it will have by default bandwidth. While creating the VM, if you see in the through console, whenever you are trying to create a VM, there you can see the bandwidth. So whatever the bandwidth it will have, based on that, the NIC card is going to be used the same bandwidth. Difference between NSG and firewall. NSG, for example, you are staying in a very big gated community. NSG is like security for your own flat. Okay. And firewall is security for your complete gated community. No one should enter in your gated community apartments. That is the difference. Raja, I think you got it. Down, 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 down. We all got it. Hmm. Please share Git URL. I think someone provided the Git URL, I think, in the chat. Commands to create multiple VMs. Multiple VMs. Slowly you will come to know. Okay. Or else you need to use a Terraform or ARM templates. Can you explain how many connectivity are there for connecting this? I did not understand your question. GitHub is frequent where and all we use. If we have in same region and same VNet, so how to connect? We have in same region and same VNet. Where you want to connect? Same region, same VNet, and inside that you will create a VMs and you will try to connect in the same way. If it is a Windows, you will use RDP. If it is a Linux, you will use uh, Spooty or mobile XM tool. Can you show create a machine by command? Same command which is in the GitHub URL, the same command you can use. Shake. This is the one. You can try by taking these commands. You can try it by your own also. If you have any problem, then you can ping me tomorrow once class is started. If VM if VM need internet, do we need to enable? Basically, by default, it is having access to internet, but we need to block it. Okay. Generally, whatever the VNets which we created, the VMs, by default, it will have internet access. It can go and access the internet. We need to block it. In further sessions, you will understand that. Nalagonda Nikhil, can you tell how to read documentation? See, Azure document is very easy to understand. Whatever you want, you just search it and you'll open the links which you get from the Microsoft. You open it and go through that. Easily you can understand the documentation. Azure documentation is enough. You don't need to go to some other XYZ documentation. They'll provide with nice examples, diagrams also. How to connect VMs if machines are in same region and same VNet? See, it doesn't matter where is your machines. Whenever the machine is ready, then you can go and connect with the public IP. You mean to say if it doesn't have public IP, if it is a private IP, how to connect you are asking, or I don't understand that. How to connect VM if machines are in same region and same VNet? Some documentation for us to create resources. Yeah, Ravi, I will provide documentation. We have option in console delete disk VM. Same thing can we delete using? Yes, you can do through the command line also. Same thing we can delete using command. Yes. Okay, guys. So we'll meet tomorrow. Please do practice. And if you face any issue, come up with the question tomorrow. While having the class also, you can just ping. If you have if you practiced and if you faced any issue, then you can ping. Then whenever I get any time during the session, I'll just go through and I'll answer your queries. Okay. But do the practice every class. The complete the remaining 10 classes are interlinked one by one. Now we created this. Tomorrow the scenario is like two different missions from two different units is not able to communicate. How to establish that? All these things we are going to talk. And one thing I would like to discuss: VNet is free, but whatever the resources you create inside that VNet is chargeable. Like I created a VM inside the VNet, it is chargeable. I allocated public IP to a VM. then that public IP, like if you create an individual public IP, then it will be chargeable. But if you create a only VNet and create a subnets, then it is not chargeable. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thanks everyone. Bye. Have a nice evening.